Hi, everybody. How are you? This is Joe Nunziata. I want to welcome you to tonight's special session, and I want to thank you so much for registering and joining me here live as we continue to move through this time of incredible change and unprecedented, really, for all of us. I don't think any of us have ever been through anything like this, no matter what we've experienced. This is certainly something that we have not seen. So what I want to do tonight, or to morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. What I want to do today is really kind of go through what's happening energetically, kind of get away from the political elements and a lot of the upset and all the different things that are going on. I really want to focus on this on a higher level and talk about what's going on energetically, what's going on worldwide from an energy standpoint and a shifting standpoint, and what we can do to elevate ourselves. So the real key for us here is going to be, how do we, at this time, elevate ourselves and move ourselves through this at the highest level? That's really what we want to focus on. That's what I'm going to really keep our focus on here tonight. I'm going to go through with you what's happening energetically within yourself and give you some tools and some things that you can use, some resources to begin your own process, because this is really going to be, as we know, eventually, obviously, we will come out of this. We will be into a different, but things will be different. The world will be different. People will be different. There'll be a lot of changes taking place. So what we want to do here is just be prepared. So that's really what's going on right now, because we're going to continue to be, we came out of April, which was very intense energetic shifting. May this month, last week was very strong. We had a supermoon. This month will be more of an adjustment period where we're really assimilating and adjusting to this higher vibration of energy that's coming in. And as we continue to progress throughout the year, we want to be ready to really step into this new higher vibration at the highest level, and then really take advantage of it and flow into it and really create some great opportunities. So that's really what I want to focus on tonight. And for those of you who don't know me, I am, as I said, my name is Joe Nunziata. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. I've been out in Southern California since 2011. But I started out, as a kid growing up in Brooklyn. My dad was a cop. He became a detective. He passed on the job when I was 12 years of age. Obviously a traumatic event or traumatic incident. And I went through a lot of ups and downs as I was growing up. Was very aggressive, wanted to go to work. You had certain ways of seeing the world, and said, I'm going to go out and be an entrepreneur and work really hard. Ended up going bankrupt twice by the time I was 30 years old. And through that process, I was always very interested in personal development and improving myself and moving myself to a higher level. So even though I was going through all these struggles and difficulties, I was very interested in personally developing myself. So the question, of course, is how did we get where we are, and how did we arrive? I always say, how did I arrive here where I am today? And you should ask yourself the same question. How did I arrive here today? How did I arrive at where I am in my life? How did I get to this place? So when we look at this situation and we say to ourselves, how did I get here? When I look at what happened to me, because I struggled, because I failed early, because I went through a lot of ups and downs, came out of a very dysfunctional environment, very negative environment. As I came out of those things, it led me into wanting to make changes. So I started off really going down the road of personal development, reading books and listening to tapes and things like that. And then I moved into, eventually went to therapy, and then got into learning about metaphysical energy principles and things of that nature. And that's what really got me moving. During that time, I was in sales. After I went bankrupt, I had gone into sales, had a pretty good career in the corporate world, went out and did that work for long, sales, marketing, business development, management process. So a lot of what I do today, I still do a lot of consulting with companies and entrepreneurs and business owners. I show them how to get their businesses moving in a positive direction, but I also integrate the energy principles that we'll be talking about tonight. And I also work with people just on their energy, just working on them individually and how they can heal themselves and move themselves to a higher place. So that's really kind of a background of what I've been doing. I've written 5 books. I have a new book coming out in September called Heal the Deal, which is about using these principles in sales and business. How do we use this energy? Because we're going to go into very different energy, and things that used to work in the past will no longer work as we continue to move to higher vibration. So this book will give you a good idea of how to do that and how to move forward. So before we get rolling, let me just give you a quick overview of what we're going to do here. And again, I want to welcome you to tonight's session. So this is being recorded, this session. So when we're done, I will send you a little later the recording, so you want to listen to it again. I know a lot of people register and say I can't be there live, so I will send this out to everybody who's registered. Also, please feel free to share this with friends. So if you say, well, I think this will help my friend, please send it out to them. Share this with others who you think would benefit from this information. We also, at the end, you can ask questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me, there's 3 different ways you can do that. For some of you, you can see that we have the chat box. Hi, Vicky. Vicky gave you a little hello in the chat box, so thank you so much. And we also have the question box. If you're online, you can see you click that button. That'll take you into a box where you can put your question in and send it in. You can send it in at any time. I will not use your last name, so again, if you just want your question to just be private, you can just send it through there. And again, we won't use your name. If you would like to ask me a question live at the end, just hit *2 on your telephone, and that will tell me that you want to raise your hand and ask a question. You can also go to my YouTube channel, which is ashotofjoe.com. That is a shot of Joe, like a shot in the arm, like a shot of coffee, really. But ashotofjoe.com. I post new videos every week. And you can email me when we're done. And for those of you who are not live and you want to send me a question, you can send it to joe@joenuns.com. And I'll tell you at the end, I'm going to be doing an elevation program at the end of this week. If you'd like to join in, I'll tell you about that. I have a super special offer for you if this is something you want to do and go a little bit deeper. So just, I'd like to give you that quick overview of what we're going to do. So as I said earlier, I went out into the world and I was a bull in a china shop. I had a certain way of seeing the world and moving my life forward. So one of the first things that as I started to do this inner work on myself, I realized that it was going to be very important for me to really change my old beliefs and my belief system. This is a big part of this process for us because we all have, based on how we grew up, based on what we learned, it's everything. It's how you grew up, what you learned, religion, all these different things that you learned growing up factor into your belief system. What you learned about money, what you learned about relationships, what you learned about health, all this stuff factored in. And all these things became a part of who you are. So what ends up happening is, we absorb all this energy, we have these belief systems, and then we go out into the world using this belief system that we've developed over time, and that's how we start our lives out. So as we go out there and we start doing these things, and we start to cause trouble or problems in our lives, not realizing that we're the ones doing it, right? We don't realize we're the ones causing the problem. But I started to see as I was doing this work, I said, oh, okay, I have certain beliefs about things that I have to be open to changing because my belief system was all about hard work. Work hard, focus on what you want to do, and you will be successful. That was my belief. I did that. I did it at a very high and intense level. I ended up bankrupting myself twice by 30 years old and causing myself a lot of distress. So the idea was I had to say, wait a minute, whatever I'm looking at here, whatever I believe, whatever I'm seeing is not working. And I have to be open to making changes. So this is an important factor as we go forward, that we have to be open to say, you know what, I am open, I am willing to make changes in my life. I will tell you this, as a person who's been doing this work for 25, 30 years now, and I would say 20 plus at a very high level, I will tell you that, your desire to make changes is very important, but it is work, and it is effort, and it is energy. And people used to say to me, Joe, why do you go out when you're speaking, and why do you talk about, it's work, and you have to put effort into it? I said, because that's what it is. And because people, from a marketing perspective, there are people out there, and what they understand is that what you're looking for is the quick fix, the easy way to do it. And I could not do that because I knew that in order to make real changes, in order to go in and do something significant, you had to be willing, and willingness is important, to do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, you will not be able to make changes. You may be able to make them temporarily, but you will not be able to make them in a long-term process. You'll do them for a while. Now, the place that we see this a lot, and I always use this as an example, is weight loss, where people go on a certain diet or do certain things and they lose weight for a while and end up, for the most part, most of those people end up gaining that weight back or more weight back. And the question is, what happened? They were able to lose the weight. They were able to start moving forward. Why is it that they can't keep the weight off? And that, of course, is the missing piece. And we're going to talk about that today because that's the missing piece of the puzzle. So what I wanted to do as I started getting into this work, I said, okay, I want to make changes that stick, changes that stay with me, and changes that I can build upon. So it wasn't about just saying, well, okay, I made this little change, or I have to change my. People say you have to change your attitude, you have to change your thinking. These are all, not that these are bad ideas, they are not going to work. I have done it all: positive thinking, goal setting, vision boards, affirmations. I did all those things. Now, I am not saying those things are not good, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I will tell you, if that is all you are doing, it will not work. It may work temporarily, but you will not be able to hold the energy. So in energy work, we call it holding the vibration. So when you make a change, when you make a real change at a deep level, what's happening is you are changing your energy. You're changing your vibration. You're elevating your energy to a different place. As you do that, you are now in a different energetic flow, and that is where you make changes. But you have to hold that vibration. So you can't hold that energy just mentally by saying, I'm going to will myself through it. Now, you may be able to will yourself through certain things for a certain period of time, but eventually, and I'm going to show you why, that will not work. And your energy will eventually go back to where it was before, or you'll crash and burn even worse, like the people with the weight loss. They lose the weight, they can't hold the energy, they emotionally break, and then they go back to a worse place than where they were before. So we're going to focus on tonight, and for those of you who really want to make changes that stick and changes that you can build, because you want to go up the ladder. I don't want to go 2 steps up and 5 steps back. I'd rather go very slowly up each step and continue to go up than go up and down, up and down, up and down. That was not what I was looking to do. And that's what I want to share with you today, because we're looking to build as we go up. So the first premise that we understand as we do this work is you have to start to see everything is energy. So every single thing in this world, in this universe, is made up of particles of energy. You, me, the computer you're watching this on, or the phone you're using to listen to this, your shirt, your pants, your desk, whatever it is, the glass of water on your desk, or as I have on my desk in my nice Hulk glass, this is all energy. So everything is energetic, everything carries frequency, everything carries a vibration. So once you understand that, you realize that the way to make changes, I have to make them at that energetic higher level, because if I just make them in a third dimensional or physical level, I will not be able to hold that space, because I'm actually not changing anything. I'm just kind of forcing it through temporarily. So a lot of this is going to come down to how you see it. So what I mean by that is this. We are living, and this is the part of this work that's to me was always very interesting, right? We are living in a physical world, but we're not really physical beings. We're spiritual beings living in a physical environment. And this is the tricky part of having this experience, which, by the way, we all chose to have. So all of us chose to be here at this time, to go through this experience, to go through this right now, this pandemic. We chose to be here. Our soul said, I want to be here to go through this experience. So you want to get into that space. You're not here by mistake. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here having this experience. What happens for people is this. When I am having this experience here, if I have not done any work to wake myself up, so to speak, I am living in a very, what we call third dimensional viewpoint. So I'm seeing everything as the physical world. I'm seeing whatever's in front of me, and that's it. So I don't see anything else. I only see what's in front of me, and that's why people get very caught up in a lot of what's going on, and they're getting caught up in the politics, and they're getting upset, because they're not seeing the big picture. They're just seeing what's in front of them. Plus, understand something that's really important. a lot of people really like to be upset. They like to be upset. They like to be mad. They like to feel like they have problems. They like to feel like things aren't going right for them. So this situation, believe it or not, and I'm not saying on a conscious level, but on many levels, a lot of people really like this because it gives them a reason to be upset, and it gives them a reason to justify and validate how they feel without understanding what's really happening. So what we want to do in order to elevate ourselves is we want to be in a fifth dimensional existence where I see things from a higher perspective. So when I look at this, I look at it as I'm having a physical experience here in this physical world, but I'm seeing it from a higher place. So I'm actually almost like, from an energy perspective, you're in two places at once. You're actually ascended to the fifth dimension and you're up high up there, but you're also having an experience here in the physical world. So we're actually straddling. We're looking to go in between. So when I'm dealing with situations in my life, it's important for me to deal with them at the high level, not at the third dimensional level. And that is going to be the critical piece of moving yourself forward. So what happens is this. So what do you do next? What do you do when something happens? What do you do when something doesn't go well? So most people, you're going to be in a reactionary mode, or you're going to get into a situation where you get upset or look to blame someone or go into victim mode. That's what most people do. So that is the way most people understand the world and deal with it. They deal with it, again, at that 3D level, at whatever's right in front of their face, and they react to it. Now, at a higher level, what we want to do is we want to understand what's really happening. What is really going on in this situation? I don't want to react to what's happening in front of me, because at a higher level, I realize that I am creating that situation so I can elevate myself. So when you create something in your life that doesn't work out, understand you're creating that situation so you can go through an emotional experience that you came here to understand, so you could really know yourself at the highest level. But if I don't do that, if I am not able to look at it from that perspective, right, that 5D perspective, what I'm doing is I'm getting stuck in a negative cycle here in the physical world. I'm getting stuck in the third dimension. I'm getting stuck in drama, upset, conflict, all those things, victim, martyr. I'm stuck in that whole space because I keep seeing myself as a weak person who is the victim of circumstance. I'm stuck in this situation. I can't get out of it. So for me, as I was going through these processes, my belief system, as I said earlier, was about being positive, working hard, and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And it didn't work. Now, it worked to a degree, but it didn't get me where I wanted to go. So what I was looking for was, what was I was like missing a piece of the puzzle. I said, wow, because I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what was going on, but I just was missing a piece because I was very focused on what I was learning, which was this goal setting and working hard and focusing and talking to myself in the mirror in the morning and all this kind of stuff. And always being positive, which of course you can't be, because as humans, we have ups and downs, right? You're not always positive, things happen. So I was searching for this, and as I started to do the work at a deeper level, I got into the energy work and the metaphysical work, and I started to learn about energy fields and started to learn about the chakra system, which is the energy field that your whole body works off of. And I found the missing piece of the puzzle, because that's what I was looking for. And I said, what is the piece? I'm missing something, because I was seeing some improvement, but I just couldn't get over. I just couldn't get myself forward. So I said, what am I missing here? What is it that I'm not seeing? What is it that I'm not understanding? And I had to go deeper. That's why I'm saying you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to go a little bit deeper. You have to be willing to put some energy into this so you can move yourself forward, right? So this is what we want to do. We want to be able to take ourselves to that place. So what I learned was the missing piece of the puzzle was that everything in your life is based on emotions and your belief system. So what's happening is this. We look at it, and people say this to me all the time, and I hear them, and I even see other teachers. I see people who are supposed to be teaching this stuff and talking to people about be positive and everything will be fine. Wrong. So here's the deal. Your emotions drive everything, which are tied to your feelings and your beliefs. So whatever's happening to you physically and mentally is happening and is being triggered off how you feel. So now you have experienced this, right? So if you have a certain emotion, you could affect your physical body. You can make yourself sick. You could create nervousness. People get hives. People get shortness of breath. People get heart attacks because they're in an emotionally stressful circumstance. It affects them physically. Also mentally, if I am emotionally disturbed, I will go mentally into distortion, into negativity, into drama, into victim, into whatever it is that I'm doing, right? I'm going to go down that road. So everything, it's not mental, it's not physical, it's emotional first. So that was the missing piece of the puzzle. That was the piece that I was missing because I was working off the mental physical model, which was the think positive, set goals, do vision boards, put pictures on the wall, all that stuff. And again, that's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was almost like I'm trying to make the recipe and I'm missing the key piece. I'm missing an ingredient that I need to make it work. So once I realized that, I said, oh, okay, so the missing piece is understanding it's my emotions and my belief system that I need to understand and deal with. That will be the key. But it brought me to a now what situation because it was almost like saying, okay, now I know this. Now that I've learned this, and I've been blessed to work with some very powerful teachers who taught me a lot of great work. But it was kind of like, okay, now I have this knowledge that I understand what it is, but what do I do with it? So it was kind of like having a key, right? It was like saying, here's the key, but what do I do with the key? It's just a key. It doesn't mean anything. And it sent me out, and I said, I have to go on my journey. So I thought of it, it's almost like, like when you see the treasure map, and if you're online, you can see I found a little treasure map to show you where you see the X marks the spot, and there's the treasure chest, and I had the key, but I didn't know where the treasure chest was. So I had to go on my journey of getting deeper into understanding myself emotionally and understanding how my emotions really were working and how my emotions were really creating all these situations in my life. So so this is one of the big traps that we have to be aware of here. And I've seen this over and over and over again with people, where people will say, once I know something, I can control it. This is an absolute disaster because what happens is your mind wants you to believe you can control it, but you can't. Now, a perfect example of what's happening right now. A lot of people are going through great difficulty because they've gone through their lives. Maybe they've been able to, work or control what's going on or keep themselves in a certain situation or a certain place, right? But now what's happening is everything went upside down. They lost their jobs. And now there's nothing you can do. It's not like saying, I lost my job, I'll get another job. People who have their industries have been wiped out. So the other day I had found a place out here where I could get a haircut. That was like that. And then think about this. This is something that we take for granted, right? We say, oh, I could just go out. I want to get a haircut. I go get a haircut, whatever I want. Now, all of a sudden, my hair was getting really long. I was in the house 6-7 weeks, whatever it was. And my wife sees something online, and someone says, hey, we're going to open up. It was last week. We're going to open up our shop. Just come down. You have to come down and wait and whatever. So I go down to get a haircut. So again, something that I never thought about. Getting a haircut. I go in, I get a haircut anytime I want. So I go there and I'm waiting. And what they did was they made the people wait outside. And then here in California, it's nice weather, but they had a tent and you were able to sit out there and wait for the chairs to open up. So I'm sitting out there. I'm talking to a guy from United Airlines. And he said to me, he said, this is crazy. He said, because he said, if you come to LAX, which is Los Angeles Airport, which is crazy. Well, if you've ever been there, it is a crazy place. He said, you would never believe what's happening. He said, it's a ghost town. He said, nobody's there. And he said, we're all in the union. They're starting to cut back. They're starting to cut everybody back. We don't know what's going to happen. We may be out of work. So, there is no job for this man as far as in his industry. His industry doesn't exist. So this idea of control is something to give up because you're not controlling anything. You're only controlling how you feel. That's it. There's nothing else to control. You can't control anything else. So you got to let it go. You can control your energy. You can control how you feel. You can control the energy you're putting out into the world, and then you're creating your reality. That's what you want to do. So I took my key, and I went searching for the treasure chest. And I worked very hard for a long period of time, really learning how to understand my energy and understand my emotions and how to deal with them. So what it comes down to is, I think of it as I had to discover what to do. I had to discover a new way of really operating, and I had to trust the process. Because here's the deal with energy work, which is different than many different things. In energy work, we do the work, and we don't necessarily see the results right away. And sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes, certain things take longer than others, obviously, because we're dealing with different levels of energy and different levels of what we're trying to accomplish or create. But you have to say, once I learn what I'm doing, I have to trust the process. I have to stay with it. I have to continue to move myself forward, and I have to trust that if I keep working on my energy and I keep working on myself, I will continue to elevate, and then I will start to see it happen. I have to trust the process. So that's what I want to ask you to do. So one of the first things I started to do, which was critical, was getting out of my head. I had to get out of my head. I used to call it stepping out. I want to step out of my head. So the way I always was, and again, this is back to the way I operated, my belief system, the way I saw the world, I was a person who was very big on figuring things out, logically coming up with the right thing to do, and not that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing bad about it, but I had to understand that I had to go beyond that. And I had to get out of my head. So this is an important part of moving forward here, especially as we go into this higher energy and as we move into different vibration, is I have to get out of the idea, this problem-solving mode that I'm always trying to figure it out. And I have to understand it at an emotional level. So what you want to look at is this. You want to look at your default. What is your old default? Or maybe it's your current default. Maybe what you currently do. So your old default may be when you are under duress or things aren't working out, either some people are very reactionary, right? They react, they just do things, or they just kind of act in a certain way. Some people take action. Some people are like, okay, this isn't working, I'm going to take action. Now you're talking here, I'm a guy who was in sales. I was in the sales world. This is what I did. It was all about action, making phone calls, going out there, calling people up, running around, knocking on doors, doing whatever we had to do. That's what it was about. It was about action, 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 action. So back in those days, in my belief system, again, was about I have to take all this constant action to be successful. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to take any action, but I was taking a lot of action just for the sake of moving and taking action, which was not effective because I'm doing it just because I think I should be doing something, right? So again, old belief system. So that was another thing. Are you a person who just starts taking action and doing a million different things and running around trying to fix it? That's another thing that will be an old way of operating for you. The other thing is you're going to go into certain behavior. So certain behavior that you go into, a lot of that can be abusive to yourself. Alcoholism, drinking, drugs, smoking, eating unhealthy food, doing things that are going to hurt yourself, right? So going into negative behavior, going into the creation of stress and distress. So these are things that you have to be aware of because we automatically, and I will tell you this, even when I had awareness, even when I was in that awareness, that trap of awareness, as I just talked about, I know about it, I can control it, I still defaulted back to my old behavior sometimes and my old way of acting, because that's what I knew how to do. That's what I was comfortable doing. That's what I did on a regular basis. So that was my old default mechanism, was to go and just do that. So I had to start to learn to be more aware, and then I had to stop myself. So when I got triggered or when something happened that got me upset, it was like I had to put that hand up. And if you're looking at my slide, you can see my hand. I found the hand with the stop sign on it, right? To say stop. So stop before you go down this road. Stop before you go down into this situation. But if I don't have awareness of what I'm doing and I don't realize that it's an emotional triggering, I'm not going to be able to stop myself. Because what happens is it hits you, you react, you go into your behavior, you continue your negative cycle. You've got to be able to stop yourself. Now, even if you don't stop yourself 100%, a lot of people will say to me, and it happened to me when I first started doing this work, was I might have still done it, but I was aware of it. That's a positive step. because I would say, oh, I did it, but I caught myself almost like after the fact to say, wow, I realized what I did. I knew the next time, and I didn't do it the next time. So this is why you have to be nice to yourself when you're doing this work, because it takes time. It's like you're trying to learn a whole new way of operating. I think of like I'm learning a new emotional operating system. So it's like it's like the way we work with our phone, right? Your phone or your computer, it updates and it's a new system and it's a new system. So anytime you're dealing with something new, it takes time to learn how to use it. It's like I'm learning how to use this properly to move my life forward. So this is what you're going to start to be aware of, to say, I need to get out of my head. I have to stop to be aware of what I'm doing, my old ways of operating. Where do I go? Do I become the victim? Do I become the martyr? Do I become the abuser? A lot of people become abusive when they yell at someone or they scream at someone. I see this a lot in corporate, right? Something doesn't go right. The boss or the manager doesn't know what to do. They yell at people because they don't know how to manage their emotion, right? Or they do the substances or other things that I was talking about. So what I want to do is I want to go through tonight, for the time we have, I want to go through 3 steps, because here's one of the things for me whenever I do these calls, even though this is a free call, what I want to do is I want to make sure you leave here with things that you can use right away. So I want to give you 3 steps that you can start using right away, and you can apply these immediately the minute you're done tonight. You'll be able to really use these 3 steps to move yourself forward and begin the process of healing. Because here's what happens. As you learn how to do this, you are beginning to heal your inner self. You're healing yourself because you're revamping how you operate and moving yourself to a higher level. So the first thing you want to do, and I just talked about it, but I want to reiterate it, is stop before you react. So I want you to be aware. So this means you need awareness. I need to be aware of what's going on. Now, what I mean by react, I want to be clear. It's not just what you do, it's what you feel. So let's say something doesn't go right? Something doesn't work out. Something takes you down a bad road. So let me give you an example of something that's a little more subtle. So I was working with someone who was an executive, and he was waiting for a promotion that he felt he deserved. And he was talking to me about it kind of toward he was expecting the promotion at the end of the year. This was around September, October. He started mentioning it to me, and he said, oh, I'm in line for this big promotion, and this is what's going to happen, and I'm really excited, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we're getting closer. The holidays came. I didn't talk to him for a while because, we got between Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else, and then we picked up in January. So anyway, I didn't hear from him because I always tell my clients, hey, if you want to call me in between, whatever, just call me. So I never heard from him. So I said, oh, okay, whatever, not thinking about it, my own stuff going on. We come back in January, and we're doing a session, and we're talking for a few minutes, and he doesn't say anything about this job. So I said, hey, whatever, what happened? You told me you were getting this promotion, and how did it work out, and the whole thing. And he said to me, oh, I didn't get it. But he said it very matter-of-factly. He said it almost like, like no big deal. Meanwhile, this is all he talked about for 4 months. So what was his way of reacting? See, we think of reacting as doing something, but his way of reacting, of dealing with the situation, was repression. So he repressed his feelings instead of allowing himself to say, this is how I feel about this. He not only did he repress it, he told me a whole story about how it was actually a good thing and how next year he'll be in line for an even better promotion. Now, this is another way your mind tricks you out of feeling your emotions. So I'm going to create and project a false story forward. And there's no basis for this story. There was no basis for him to get this promotion, this other promotion, but it was his way of blocking off his emotion. So this was the way he learned to deal with his feelings. So everybody has a way of dealing with their feelings. This is what he had done. And when I got him past it, and he really got into it, he was hysterical because he realized his whole life he had not allowed himself to experience any of these feelings. He was blocking everything. Now, understand, when you block your emotion, you block your feelings. That energy is sitting with you. And he had some stomach issues. He had some other health issues as a result. So the energy, understand that your energy has to go somewhere. Your energy is always moving. So just because you're blocking it or ignoring it or not dealing with it doesn't mean it's not affecting you. It's impacting your life. So you have to understand your way of dealing and reacting, because reacting is different for everybody. In this case, it was not reacting in the way we would understand it. He didn't react. He didn't say anything. He didn't do it. He just repressed. But that was his reaction. So that is your first step. Stop before you react. In his case, his reacting was repressing, which is what he should not have done. He should have said, I need to feel this. What does this feel like for me? But he did the opposite. So the second thing you want to be able to do is you want to identify your feeling. You need to be able to identify what it is you're actually feeling. So the way it works is we have levels of emotion. So the first level is our surface emotion, which is what we feel immediately. You feel angry, you feel upset, you feel annoyed, whatever it is. That is not what you're actually feeling. So you've got to learn to say, well, I'm angry, but you have to ask yourself, why am I angry? Why am I angry about this? What is it about this situation, this person, this circumstance? What is it about this that's bothering me? I need to be able to go underneath and identify what I really feel. What is it that I'm actually feeling? So if you're angry and you just react to it, or you go through your process, whatever that may be, like this guy, which was repressing, or if you go through having drinks, or if you go through yelling at someone, or whatever the case may be, you're never identifying what you're feeling. So you can't clear the energy out of your system and elevate yourself if you never identify and know what you actually feel. And I will tell you, most people, and I work with thousands of people over the years, in groups, individuals, every possible way, small groups, big groups, corporations, and this is one of the most challenging things. It was very challenging for me because I didn't feel any feelings growing up. So it took practice. So what I would suggest to you, and I'll give you a little thing that I started doing years ago, and when I first started, it really helped me, was I kept an emotional journal. And I would just, at the end of the day, write down my feelings of what happened. Happy, sad, whatever it was. Upset, great, happy, embarrassed, shameful, whatever it was. And as I did that, it helped me start to identify what I was feeling. Because I would say, wow, that guy passed me up, and I felt, I was angry. See, so when you project the anger onto someone else, you're not dealing with how you feel. So when you get angry at somebody, you miss the opportunity to feel what you feel. And that's an important part of the process as well. So anytime you project it out, you're not dealing with the feeling. So that's what you want to understand as you go forward. You want to deal and learn to identify what you feel. Now, the last step, which we'll do for tonight, is you have to let yourself feel the emotion. So this is the way you clear energy. And again, I go through this in more detail when we have more time or deeper work, but for the purpose of what we're doing tonight, just to get you started, right? So you have to say, whatever I feel, I have to let myself feel it. So if I feel disappointment, if I feel sadness, if I feel shame, whatever it is that I'm feeling, instead of me blocking that feeling and not allowing myself to feel that feeling, I need to let myself feel the emotion. But here's the key. I feel the emotion with no judgment. I do not judge the emotion. I do not say it's good or bad, right or wrong. I just allow myself. That's why the word allow is in there. Because most of us, and again, this will go back to your childhood, you have to look at this and say, was I allowed to feel my emotion or express my feelings when I was a kid? If you are not, then you learn to repress or you learn to avoid. And as you avoided those emotions and those feelings, you never dealt with them. So you have to remember something. It's not your fault, but all of a sudden you don't just wake up one day and say, oh, okay, now I'm going to start feeling my emotions, because it's not like flipping a switch, because you never did it before. So I never did this. When I first started doing this, I was like a block of cement with no emotion. I was like an actual block of cement with no emotion, because I didn't know how to do it. Because in my household growing up, we were not allowed to be emotional. We were not allowed to express ourselves. We were not allowed to do these things. So because we weren't allowed, what ended up happening was I just said, oh, okay, we're not allowed to do that. When you're a kid, you don't know any better. And then you carry this behavior forward. So when I started to do this work, it took me a while to start chipping at that big black block of granite and chipping and chipping and chipping to start to allow myself to get in there and feel these feelings. So this is a very important part of the process, and this is one of the things that happens. So every time you do that, right, every time you feel an emotion, you're releasing energy. You're letting energy go. So in a positive side, like when you have that feeling of joy, of love, of happiness, you just feel that fills you up, right? That amazing energy comes in and fills you up. On a negative side, when we feel negative emotion and we don't deal with it, it stays with us. So it just stays and recycles as another event or episode. So that's what we would see as a pattern of behavior. So, I have this pattern, or I keep attracting the same kind of situation, or I keep attracting the same kind of people, or I keep going through the same cycle because I'm still holding on to the emotion, which is the energy. So as I start to let go of those emotions, that energy is released. And as I start to let that energy go, now I'm revamping my energy field. So as I revamp my energy field and I let go of this energy and this vibration, you start to shift. Your energy begins to shift and elevate, right? We want to elevate. So think about this. Think of yourself as being at a certain frequency. So let's say you need to be at an 8 and you're at a 4. So as long as you're vibrating at a 4 frequency, you're going to attract things at the 4 frequency level. And even if you work harder or whatever it is and you're able to push yourself up for a little while, you're still not at that energy vibration. You're not at that frequency. So eventually you can't hold that energy, which I was saying earlier. You can't hold that vibration, and then you drop right back down. So but what happens is when you release the energy, when you learn to go through the process, when you learn to do it I do it every day. I clear my energy every single day. I've been doing it for years. And now I'm kind of in a maintenance program because I've been doing it for so long. But in the beginning, I was doing major clearing work. I was clearing out energy. I was clearing out all this vibration. I was clearing out all this pain. So as I'm doing all this stuff and as I'm clearing out all this energy, little by little, I started to feel better. And my energy started to shift. And I noticed that I started to create different results. I started to attract different people. People acted differently towards me. I started to feel better, more peaceful, more relaxed. So this is what was happening over a process of time. And now the good news and what's really exciting right now is this. When I started doing this work 30 years ago or more, the energy of the planet was very heavy. So in order to make changes, it took a lot more work because we're dealing with energy, collective energy that was much heavier. So now that we've gone through all these different shifts and all these changes and all these things that have happened over the last years that we've had over all these years, now the energy of the planet is much lighter. So when you're doing the work, what I'm seeing now with people, which is really exciting for me and amazing, is wow, I'm seeing people move forward really quickly, which I did not see before. And it wasn't that the people weren't trying hard, it was just that the energy was heavier. So now this is a great time to really work on this because the energy is elevating, and as you're elevating, it's almost like you're jumping on the ramp and you're getting pulled right up, as opposed to before where we had to kind of inch our way. It was like drilling through to get through. Now it's moving much easier. It's flowing. So as it's flowing through, it's a lot easier for you to move yourself up and forward. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to go deeper? So if you're looking at the screen, I have an iceberg. And we all know how an iceberg works if you're familiar with icebergs, right? The part of the iceberg that you see above the water is actually just a little piece of it. And most of the iceberg is underwater. So that's when they take those pictures, which is the image I have on the screen, the majority of the iceberg, you don't know that, right? Because if you're looking, you just see the top of the iceberg. So the way it looks, the way I look at it is this. The part underneath, that's all your energy, your emotion, your feeling. That little piece on top, that's the physical part of you. That's your mind and the way you think. And that little piece on top is the top piece and the third dimensional piece. That piece underneath is the piece where you need to do the work. Because when you do the work underneath, everything changes. Because now you're creating an empowered circumstance to elevate yourself and move yourself to a different place. You're no longer dealing with this at the basic level. You're dealing with this at a much deeper emotional level. And you're making changes that are having a long-term positive effect on your life. So here's the deal. You have to be ready and willing to go deeper and do the work. If you are, this is a very exciting time because you'll be able to do it faster, but you need the process, you need the tools to be able to do it. Like I said before, it was a much, to me, what I'm seeing with people now that I've worked with is they're moving 10 times faster than I used to see them move years ago, just because the energy is different. So before we go to questions, I'll just tell you quickly about a program I have coming up, which is an Elevate Your Energy, Elevate Your Life, Energy Clearing Process and Program. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you how to do this on yourself. Because here's the deal. You want to empower yourself to be able to do it yourself. This is another very important lesson that I learned doing this work. You want to work with people who want to empower you. So when I first started in this business, I would see a lot of people who wanted to keep telling me I had to go through this level of program and this level of program, and of course it was always more expensive. And again, I don't hold anything against anybody. Do whatever you want. That's great. But the real goal should always be for you to walk out empowered. You want to be a Jedi. You want to walk out and say, I learned how to do something. It cost me whatever it cost me. But the bigger cost, truthfully, the money is not even the bigger cost. The bigger cost is your time and your energy and your effort. So you want to be empowered. So here's why it's important for you to be empowered. Because when you get empowered, you can help somebody else. And this is not the Wizard of Oz, where there's one person behind the curtain who's supposed to hold all the information. In an enlightened age, we want to share everything. So everybody knows all this information. So everybody can go out there into their lives and do this and help other people. That's how we're going to really heal the world. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to work on, you're going to identify unconscious issues very quickly. So you're going to be able to identify what's going on emotionally within yourself really quick. We're going to go through how to break destructive patterns, because the pattern is an emotional thing, okay? It's not a mental thing. It's an emotional thing. So understand that. The pattern is not mental or physical. It is emotional. Then we want to shift our energy into how to attract positive people and opportunities, because if I'm in a negative frequency of energy, I still, no matter how hard I try, and this is what I did through my 2 bankruptcies, I kept attracting people who mistreated me, screwed me out of money. Why? Because I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm vibrating negative energy. I'm creating negative situations. Then we want to make quick adjustments each day. So this is part of the vigilance. Now here's the deal. This is not going to take you 10 hours a day. It's just a consistency of saying every day I am going to make an adjustment. So here's the deal. If you, think about your day, if you make one positive adjustment every single day, that means you've made 365 adjustments in the course of the year. Think about that. So the way you build is how. You don't build by making one adjustment. You build by making many adjustments. So we're going to make quick adjustments each day. I'm going to go through your whole energy system and your chakra system. I'm also going to show you how your karma is part of this, because we all have karma that is also integrated into our lives and it's impacting us. So I'm going to show you how all those things work together and how you can clear the energy. So we're going to go through those processes, and we'll go through that as well. So we're also going to go through, the most important part of this is I'm going to take you through a series of energy clearing processes. I'm going to take you through my process, but I have more than one. So I'm going to show you a daily one. I'm going to show you one that's going to take you into a preemptive, deeper clearing of energy, and also one to manifest and create. So we're going to go through a number of different energy clearing processes. We're going to go through these things of clearing and also building and attracting. So I'll show you each one of those, again, that you will be able to use for the rest of your life. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 live sessions similar to this. The first one will be this Saturday coming up. Okay, that's going to be coming up this week. We're going to do a live session where you're going to walk away with a lot of information and things that you're going to start doing to move forward. We're going to have live Q&A just like we have tonight after the session. We're going to have recordings, so the session will be recorded if you miss it. And as an added bonus, you're going to get email support with me for the whole program. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you things. You're going to apply it. You're going to have some questions. You're going to be able to ask me questions. Send me an email anytime you want, unlimited, no limit. So on top of that, what I also want to give you, just to give you an additional bonus here, is I created a program called Change Your Energy, Change Your Life, which I just recently updated. Elevate Your Energy is going to be kind of an advanced version of that, but we're going to incorporate a lot of those things as well. So I want to give you that home study course, which is a $250 value. and you're going to get that immediately. So the minute you decide you want to do this, you get that. You're going to get 5 audios. Okay, they're MP3s. You get them right away. There's 3 new audios that I added to the program, plus the 2 originals, which include some of the energy clearing work that we're going to do. We're going to do the advanced versions as well. So not only are you going to get the calls, you could also get the 2 live sessions, plus you're going to get the home study, so you have the whole foundation to do the work. So you're going to get the whole thing, complete program, all the bonuses, everything you want. It's really at a super low rate because I made it really cheap because I know everybody's going through difficulty. And on top of that, you're going to get it for an additional 50% off. So when you go to elevateyourenergynow.com, or if you're online, you can click on this slide. So go to elevateyourenergynow.com, and that will take you to the page. It'll give you all the information, all the details. The date is on the bottom. Just click that date. Use the code CHANGE. You'll get it for half price. So that code will be active until Thursday. So you have all day up until the whole day Thursday to use that code. And then we're going to start this Saturday. So this Saturday we'll get started with the program, and we'll start taking you through getting yourself moving. Because like I said, right now, as this energy is really, we kind of went through the very intense stuff. We're ready to really take off. We want to be emotionally prepared to move forward. So I want you to be emotionally ready and emotionally prepared to move yourself forward to the next level. So if anybody has any questions, please, again, if you like, you can hit *2. You can go to the Q&A button and send in your question. You can go to the chat and send in your chat as well. So I got a couple of different things. Let me go through this, and then we'll go into that. And don't forget, if for some reason somebody's hearing this recording, please email me your question. I'll be happy to get to that. That's joe@joenunz.com, which I gave you in the beginning. So let me just go into, we got a couple of people saying, well, hey, Jerry, how are you? And Joanna, how are you? Thank you. Great to be here. Stephanie, what's a good way to remember shift thinking, recognize it, and step out? Okay, so here's the deal. The key is everything is going to be awareness. So what I find to be really important as we're doing this work, because we're going to go through a lot of meditations, I'm going to show you how to really do the meditation work and really go forward, is what you really want to do is you want to learn to get quiet. Because the more you the more you get quiet, the easier it will be for you to move yourself forward. Because when you get in quiet space, you're connecting to your higher self. When you're connecting to your higher self, you're more aware of what's going on. So when your brain is always rattling, as I like to say, with all kinds of thinking and overthinking, and you're never getting quiet, you're not really connecting to yourself at the level you want to connect at. So that is the question. So what is the cost of the program, Joanna? So it is, the whole thing is only $199, but you're going to get it for half of that. So it'll be $99.50. So if you want to get the program, that's all it's going to be. So you just go in, like I said, use the code CHANGE, and you'll get it for that price. I made it super cheap. Like I said, I sell the home study for more than that alone. So that's why I wanted to make it cheap. I know we're going through some difficulty. And a lot of people having a hard time out there. And I want to make sure you get empowered and be able to do it. So let me, Diana, New York, how different is this program from your original CD, Change Your Energy, Change Your Life? Well, think of it, Diana, as an advanced version of that. That was the base foundation. We're going to go into using some of these similar techniques, but we're going to also work on elevating and advancing much faster than we did back at that time. So I'm going to go through think of it as an advanced kind of next level of that program, of the Change Your Energy program. So thank you. That's a great question. So it's good to know that people have done those programs, so you're out there and you're doing your thing. And my friend Alexis has got a question from Toronto. Alexis, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well, very well. I know you will be there Saturday, so how can I help you?
Okay, so I have no problems identifying the feeling, knowing where it comes from, but I'm not sure about this when you said I need to let it go. I'm not understanding what that means. I mean, I know what it means. I just don't know how to achieve it.
Okay, just give it to me again. You're feeling. Run it through a second. I want to grab onto it. Go ahead.
What?
You're feeling it, but you can't clear it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So what is it that you're feeling?
Okay, right now I just found out that an event that I attend every summer has been canceled. So I'm
Okay.
feeling angry.
Okay. So again, you're angry, but there's a feeling underneath.
Sad.
Right. So the idea is to say, what is the feeling underneath?
And it's sad. I'm
Right.
sad.
So you're allowed to be sad. Did you allow yourself to be sad and grieve?
The problem is when I allow myself to be sad, I feel like I just get stuck in that feeling.
Yeah, because you're not removing it. You're just sinking. So the idea is
yeah. So how do you move it?
Well, we're going to do that. We don't have time to do this right now because we don't have enough time to really get into it. But I'm going to do this. We're going to do this in the program. But the bottom line is, when you feel something, you need to feel it all the way down. So this is what people don't do. They start to feel, I make a joke about it sometimes because I say to people, you start feeling your feelings, and I've seen a lot of people, they start doing this work and they make a U-turn and go the total opposite direction. And the reason, it's almost like I said, you're flying too close to the sun. And it's like, who's going to fly? You need to fly into the sun. But some people, they just can't take it. So they start to feel that emotional distress and they run. What you have to learn to do is dive in.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. I'm going to show you how to dive in and it's almost like you're pulling out a weed. You have to get to the root. You can't do it from the top. You can't just pull the top off.
Okay, so I will just call in on Saturday then.
Well, we will see you Saturday. We'll get this one done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Again, this is why the work is there are little subtleties to doing energy work and little subtleties to doing work on yourself that are important. Magdalena, I've been clearing energetically karma since the mid-2019, which is awesome. From the end of April of this year, I feel this shift you were talking about. I'm ready to constantly be in touch with my emotions and make quick adjustments. I want to build and attract. I'm in. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Magdalena. We look forward to seeing you on the program as well. Like I said, we want to move really quickly, but the key is going to be allowing yourself, and this is the word I use a lot. You'll hear me use it a lot, which is allowing yourself to feel the feeling at a deep enough level to get it out of your system. So I want to get it out. And that's why certain things take a little longer, and I'll go through this in detail when we get in the live sessions and then also in the other program. But what we want to do is we want to say, okay, I need to make sure I go deep enough to get out of it. And the other thing that's important is to understand that certain feelings are very layered. They take a little more time to chop out. So what we do is when we feel the sadness and we feel that first layer of sadness or that first part of sadness, we want to make sure that we get in and get the rest of it out so it's not still floating around. And my friend Ann in Florida is here. Miss Ann, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing very well.
Good. I'm actually doing better than some days I think, what's up? I'm doing really well.
That's good. I'm glad. This is a weird time. It's upsetting at times. It's emotionally challenging us at times. So, and I do pretty well, and I have my moments. I'm just like, once in a while, I'm like, geez, I just want to jump out the window. But how can I help? You have a question?
I do. I started it, and then I got bumped off, so I was typing it in. I just was wondering if you could share a tiny bit of what we're seeing, in the next month with this energy, and because as you know, I'm in a new job since March 10th, but I don't feel like it's what I'm supposed to be. I feel like I was put there, just for this holding pattern time during this, because I started the week of this. I actually made a sale today, and I didn't try to, and it's like a year and a half sales cycle. So, but I'm having a few things come at me, but I don't know. So what you said I think you said something about that I'm becoming the new me, and I feel that. I feel like I'm becoming the real me again, but I don't know, I guess I don't even know what I'm asking, sort of. It's like, is this energy going to take me to that better place?
So here's the deal. Let me answer your question. So the bottom line is this: you're going to be taken to where you are energetically. So if your energy is saying, and sometimes the universe gives us something just to kind of get us through a period of time to get to the next place. So, but the main issue right now, we're going to work on this with this. I want to work on this because it's going to be really about focus and desire and creation. So the idea is going to be, what do I really want to create? What is my desire? And I have to learn to focus my energy on that and then allow myself to go there. So it's a combination of those two different things where I have to say, okay, wherever I am, I have to be in acceptance because you place yourself wherever you are. And the idea is to say, I'm going to go through a couple of other very important things about surrendering, and there's going to be a lot of new stuff that we want to talk about. So the idea is going to be to say, I need to get in this space of, do I actually know where I want to go? This is one of the big problems I see with people. They may say, I don't want to be here, but I don't know where I want to go.
Yeah, know that's me.
Right. So you need to. So this is part of that clarity of what you want to create, because we are creators. And if I don't have a clear understanding of what I want to create, then I'm kind of all over the place. So it's getting clarity on the creation part, and it's also understanding that you're allowed to have it.
Okay.
This is a big piece, and you have to be able to also receive it. So these are a lot of variables. So this is a big part, because what we're doing now is we're dissolving our old identities, and we're starting to move into our true selves. But this is, your old identity does not want to go away without a fight. So it's a process to say I need to let go of the old identity and then allow myself to be who I really am.
Yeah, and I think I'm really close to on the other side of the fight. I don't feel it anymore. And I even took this opportunity at the job. It's like, okay, I'm an outside salesperson stuck inside with my hands tied behind my back. New industry, nobody knows me. What can I do? So I scheduled a 4-week mastermind with somebody that had a list. And all of a sudden, I'm actually doing what I want to do, and somebody else is paying me for it. So I'm doing mastermind and stuff. So
just.
But then when I thought about doing it another way and getting paid for it, I was like, I don't know. Do I want to get paid for it? That was weird. So
this is part of these feelings, right? These are part of the feelings that we have to uncover so we can remove them.
Okay.
That's
you
the
so
block.
much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. You too.
Take care now. And Joanna, how many? So we're going to do 2 live sessions. We're going to do 2 Saturdays in a row. It'll be 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll do 2 live, and then you'll get the other course right away. And then you'll have email support for those weeks as we go through that process. So that's going to be the way we're going to take ourselves through the clearing process and how we go forward. So like I said, so right now for everybody, this is going to be a key time to really connect to your emotional self, your highest self, and allow yourself to be what you want to be, which means we've got to remove certain obstacles and elements that we're holding on to emotionally within ourselves to get to that place, because ultimately we want to be peaceful. In order to be peaceful, I can't be carrying around a lot of attachments. We need to let go of those attachments. So I'm going to go through all those different things. As I said in the program, I'll show you how to do that, how to clear all that stuff up, then how to do daily work on clearing your energy, then how to do preemptive work, which is how to clear energy before it creates a problem, and then how to do creation work, because we want to then start focusing on creation and manifestation. How do we do that? How do we get ourselves zoned in? So I'll go through the whole process there. Again, use the tools that we talked about tonight right away, and just start being aware of what you're feeling and let yourself feel. That alone is going to really take you to a much better place. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget, go to elevateyourenergynow.com. If you want to register, use the code CHANGE to get half off. And I look forward to seeing you Saturday to really get us to where we want to go. So thank you so much. Have a great one, and keep up the good work. Have faith. This is all a divine situation taking us all to a higher place. You may not understand it yet, but you will when the dust clears. So may you be blessed. I'll see you soon.